guys, I'll take you back to around July 2020, and we've been 4 months into COVID, and it suddenly dawned on us that COVID is going to be around for quite a while. School sport is 100% shut. Club sport is also shut at that stage, and we've got no income. There are 3 businesses that I ran. I had a hockey shop, a hockey coaching business, and a hockey brand, which we sold to all the other shops, and no sales. 7 full-time employed staff, 3 of them SA hockey players, 2 of them with families of 3 each. So there was a little pressure on me as a young guy, and my determination was I wanted to keep all 7 jobs. I wanted to keep us going, and obviously the obvious word was pivot. Everyone was saying pivot, pivot, pivot. Easier said than done. I was looking for that pivot. I was looking for quite a while, and eventually the pivot strangely came inside of hockey again. So the pivot was, let's play a franchise hockey league inside of COVID. School sport was shut. The Department of Education said no school sport. Club sport had opened at that stage, so per the Department of Sport and Rec, we were able to play club sport. So franchise hockey has been around for quite a while. IPL, cricket has been around for like 20 years. So lots of people have done franchise hockey. There's never been a gap in the calendar for youth franchise hockey. The schools dominate the calendar, then there's provincial tournaments, all that. So the pivot was, we need to play a franchise youth tournament called the Cape Town Premier Hockey League, the CPL, and how are we going to do this? So yeah, it wasn't easy. I basically looked around and I said, we need people that have credibility. We need franchise directors. We need people that are going to take on a franchise that have credibility, that have a player database, that have something to offer that's different, that's special in hockey. We needed diversity, we needed a lot of different things. We needed special people. And I looked around, and actually the special people were the 5 sort of companies or people that were running academies already around the province, right from Boland to southern suburbs. So yeah, we phoned up all these guys. Now, these guys don't always talk to each other. They're not best of friends. Some of them are arch rivals. They hate each other, maybe even. So there was a little bit of distrust in the beginning, a little bit of uncertainty. Am I going to work with this guy that I normally try and kill in the coaching market? But I asked them, have you guys had any income? And no one had generated a cent for like months. So guys were hurting, guys were a little bit more open to working together. So yeah, I just said to them, what have we got to lose? Like, I'm not going to ask you for any upfront fees. You don't have to pay 50,000 Rand for a franchise. Just come, put in your work ethic, bring your credibility and bring your player database, and let's get something going, because the players and the parents were dead keen to get hockey going. They were looking for someone to facilitate this. They'd kind of had a bit of COVID fatigue, I think, at that stage, and they'd realized that playing outdoor sport probably wasn't that dangerous, and they were willing to give it a go. So I set us a task of getting 600 players into this Cape Town Premier Hockey League, which was no easy feat. And we launched, and we got the 6 best people on board. I mean, we got Bruce Jacobs, who's former captain of South Africa, Olympian. Greg Clark, I think, is his 5th Olympics now. So he twice as a player, 3 times as a coach. We really got like the best people in the whole of the Western Province and Boland together, and we got the best coaches. So an Olympian maybe can't commit to a school or a club for a full season, but they could commit to the CPL because we've been playing it over a month or 3 weekends. And we suddenly got Olympians signed up, and the players and the parents started seeing, wow, I have an Olympian coaching me, and it just rolled from there. And we actually hit the 600 player mark to actually run the first edition of the CPL in October 2020.
Yeah, the CPL started at exactly the right time when we needed hockey after COVID. And so it was the perfect antidote to that doldrum we had. And the fact that everybody plays together and you're drafting boys from different schools to be in the same setup, it's a fantastic thing for people to learn how to play with new players, new setup. And I think the most important thing for me with the CPL is the fact that all the coaches are involved. We've got all the top coaches involved at the moment, and that's a good attraction because no matter what team you're in, the boys get good coaching. And it ranges from me and a couple of the old guys like Sevens and Kassa and those kind of guys, and then the new bunch coming through, the provincial coaches like Bryce and Jody. So we've got a good array of coaches at all levels, all helping out. And so that aspect of it has been fantastic. I've always said it's a bit pointless if boys are at the same school just having one coach their whole life. Variety is what you need, and being exposed to different types of coaches, different ideas, it grows players. And so I think CPL from that perspective giving boys an advantage. I'll say boys, some of the boys' side, but the girls as well, giving the advantage of just experiencing new kind of coaching from top quality coaches has been really fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, the best coaches come out of there, like Pierre Leroux, Ashland Freddy, Kasa Kasim. There's so many guys, and especially because I coached the under 14 side with the likes of Lita Cryer, Ruben Senzo, the Raiders. They were a young team, and to see how the older coaches, coach their teams, you learn so much as a coach, but also as a person, how they treat their players. And yeah, I think CPL is just really cool, and I think it should keep going on.
The CPL for me brings a slightly different aspect to the game, in the sense that we all know that kids just want to play. But the fact that you have to go through the process of getting your players is different to normal. It's not just me phoning a kid saying, do you want to play? You can apply almost like a job. You can apply to play, but you still need to get picked. So that is the different aspect that's not done anywhere else in this country. And it's very stressful, I can tell you that. But it does mean that irrespective, you are going to get quality across all 6 teams. You're not going to get one team that's loaded. And also because CPL have introduced the marquee player. So all our national under 18 players and under 16s will then be spread across the 6 franchises. So for me, that's really cool, because it actually, it sort of levels the playing field to a degree. And then you also got players that may not play in a provincial side, but they can still have the ability and the chance to play with these players, and you don't get that anywhere else.
I'm also involved with the CPL franchise, which is really great for the youth. I'm the franchise owner of the Royals. I've been involved with CPL since its inception, since its start, and it's really been great to see how the youth enjoys this format, but also monitor how they develop and become great players. There's some really talented players, and we've already identified some of these players and predicted that they'll go on to achieve great heights and definitely represent our country at the highest levels.
Having CPL in 2020 when COVID hit, I think it was a very sad time for a lot of juniors, youth, sportsmen, and I think when the idea came about, I was extremely happy because we were able to be back on the sports field again, obviously following COVID rules, etc. But I think being part of the first CPL was really special. Obviously, seeing your mates again after a while, playing against some teammates, and yeah, just being back out on the hockey field. I think we got to realize how much of a privilege that is for us, especially me. My passion is hockey, and I think being part of the first one was really cool. The format, how it's run, all the people involved, how it's being streamed, and I think now that is, I think, going into the 4th CPL, I think that makes such a difference, because it can only continue to grow hockey within Western Province, and obviously there's DPL as well in Durban, so hopefully they can continue that throughout the country, and it gives players the opportunity, that maybe didn't make the province side. So it really gives schoolboy hockey or girls hockey the exposure that it needs. But I won my first CPL, which I'm really happy about. Coached by Bryce. Really enjoyed my team. It was a very mixed team. Played with people I've never played before, and I really enjoyed that so much.
So when we release the sign-up form, then all players get access to a link where they can register. Some of the parents register them. Sometimes we get parents registering players for 2 different age groups to make sure they get selected, or they forget to fill in something, so they re-register. So what happens then is I collate all the information, and we make sure that we try erase all duplicates of the people that have signed up twice, and we get over, this one we had about 1,200 plus registrations, so it's quite difficult to pick up all the small little mistakes, whether they've entered under 12 and under 14 or what the case may be. So we just try to pick it up as best we can, and then what I do is then I filter them into their different age groups and genders, and then from there into the draft, and And from the draft selection, some players obviously get retained, and that's where we bring in the other franchise directors and franchise coaches, where they go and select the players that they want to keep in the franchise. The players that are kept in obviously go straight into their franchise as retained players, and the rest go into the draft to join in the new sign-ups. From there, we then have the draft selection that's live on Facebook and YouTube, and the coaches then select their players in front of everybody. We do only do a couple rounds live. This is because we don't want anyone to know that they get picked last, because it could be seen as someone could bully them about them being picked last and things like that. So we try to take that out of the equation from the start.
And Michael the Toy.
Well done, guys. Royals.
The Royals are rotating Michael Royden Turner, Keegan Roger, Rowan Davis, and Levi Rennie.
Yeah, and then on draft day, it becomes long hours for all the FDs, and especially myself, because I'm on every single draft. I have to start the Zoom meetings, put it live to Facebook, and make sure that it's all running smoothly. And then from there, all the coaches select their players for their teams. And then at the very end of it, obviously not all the parents know who's made the team, because only the first 4 to 5 rounds are live on Facebook. And then once that is done, I then have to collate all the information and send it to the coaches to make sure that all the selections are correct. Sometimes there is 1 or 2 mistakes. Luckily, in this past one, everything was pretty accurate, and the coaches confirmed pretty quickly that the teams were all correct. From there, I then contact our social media team, and then they create the graphics and put out the team names so everybody can know, because we want to do it as soon as possible, because obviously there's parents and players that haven't been selected live on air and are really don't know if they've made a team or not, and we want to settle them as quick as we can. So we try to get that out pretty much on the same day. So it becomes long hours, but it's definitely worth it at the end of the day.
And 3, 2, 1, we are live. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 4th installment of CPL. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Always excited. This is good fun to be here.
Awesome.
Well, myself and Mike will be managing the draft throughout the day. Coaches will come online. They'll first announce their retained players that they've kept from the year before. Obviously, they're players that would have moved up in an age group or players that would have stayed. Then they'll go into a draft order which has been predetermined from the first draft that we did in CPL 1.0. And it's been kept, that order has been kept the same for 4.0. They then have an opportunity to select players, and the exciting part of it is that they might not get the player that they would like to get, so they have to have contingencies in place. We're also very fortunate that we've got marquee coaches like Andy Bernstein and Pauline De Bruyn, Denzel Dolly, Steve Evans, coaches that have played at a high level, coached at a high level, lots of experience, and also coaches that will not just use hockey tactics. Yeah, they're going to think a little bit differently on how they select their players. So the draft is going to be quite exciting, and I think it's going to be something different, something unique, and it's always something good to see where players end up, and also good to see how the coaches are going to approach the draft.
As MCs, we are basically in charge of making sure the day runs smoothly. They're the brains behind the process that stay at the HQ, and we're just the voice for the day. We're pumping vibes from early morning. We're attempting to pump vibes from early morning, and we basically speaking to the coaches, running through the draft process. We'll be behind the camera for 7 hours, making sure that every single player gets selected. During the draft process, the coach will call out the player's name and number. I will write down that respective number next to the draft order. AJ will click a drop down on this Google Sheet that selects it so that it goes back into the system. Bryce, back at HQ, will be doing the exact same thing, so that there's just a meticulous history of which player was selected where in case any drama happened.
Hello, I'm Emma Clark from Hershey Girls School, and I'm having all my hockey friends over for this year's CPL draft. And I think it's really cool because you get to play with a lot of different people from like various different provinces, and it's cool to like see which team your friends make. And yeah, I'm really excited for this year.
I'm Paige Thomas. I got retained to play in the Rebels for the CPL 4.0 draft. The draft is really amazing this year because it's another opportunity to play at a really high level of hockey. Instead of just playing for IPTs, you get to play with Boland and really experienced hockey players. You get to experience new coaches and play with them all and just improve your hockey.
CPL, what's there to say? You know, we as a family have had the privilege of being involved in many of the tournaments and we've loved them all. But if we had to identify one tournament that has seriously embraced the hockey community and caused us to cultivate hockey within the Western Province, it must be the CPL. When you think about players from the north, the south coming together from Border all the way from Nasna, and they bring their gifts, and coaches are having to be strategic on their selections, and they're having to coach players that they've not necessarily coached, it really brings out an element of competition, of balanced teams, which is incredible. When I think about the parents that we've met, and when I think about the boys that we now know and support, and the girls that we know and support, it's been something so incredible. I must tell you, the one thing we love as well is the whole drafting thing. I remember our first event where we got a whole bunch of boys together at our house, and just to hear the excitement come through the television of boys that have been drafted, and then the big question of, am I going to be drafted a little later? Who is my coach? Have I ever played for that coach again? How am I going to be playing against my friends? It was absolutely off the charts. I'm so excited about CPL. I tell you, for me, my family, we genuinely can't wait to see the hockey family that comes from far and wide. We look forward so much to seeing the boys, the girls bring their skills to the table. We see coaches trying to be strategic against each other, and I genuinely think it is the tournament that absolutely allows our teams to compete at such a level that it improves us as a province.
If you haven't been part of CPL, I would advise you to join up. That is the first thing I would advise you to do. The second thing, if you can't, at least come watch. At least come watch, and then you'll experience also something different. Watching from a coach's point of view. I think coaching different kids from different environments, from different setups, it's always a good thing, because it tests you as a coach, because you don't know the boy from a boss's up, and you're actually trying to make him understand what you want as a coach and what do we want as a unit. And that for me is important, and if guys keep learning that, it becomes easy or coachable at any other level.
So CPL, as a coach, it's always nice to be one of those coaches that are on the better end of CPL. Winning the last two down in Cape Town was something that was first an honor, because I work with young people. That's firstly my passion, and there's opportunity for them. I think what it really brought out a lot was probably the fact that not a lot of those players were, in fact, some of them has never played in a province before, or even in an A side before, and they really stood out when they came down to CPL, especially with the types of coaches we have there. So you could see the impact it's having on those type of players as well. Even those players who thought that they're not good enough, you know. Thanks to the quality of our coaches and how we manage players, that really brought the best out of all those players, especially the Rebels. So I'm super proud of that. Yeah, I think we need to keep doing it.
Life is never a straight line. It's going to be filled with disappointment, but it's always about how you bounce back. But the biggest single thing is about putting yourself out there. You have to, if you don't put yourself out there, you don't set yourself up for failure or success. So yeah, the message really is to keep going out there, keep working on those skills, keep working on the connections that you make within your teams, and also consider retrospectively that often when you have that disappointment, it forces a little bit of introspection, where you're forced to look inside to go, how can I be better? Do I need to be fit enough? Do I need to use my skills more wisely? Do I need to improve the way that I interact with my coaches and my teammates? So there's many facets to this great game, and often I think, especially as a youngster, we often measure our performances just by what we can remember doing elimination skills-wise. Also another cool story, when Giles Barnet was actually our S under 21 assistant coach, trying to qualify in '95 for the Junior World Cup, and we had a semi-final game against Kenya, I think it was, and we ended up beating them 5-0, and I was playing centre mid, and after the game he came and he said, "That's the best game of hockey I've ever seen you play," and I was flabbergasted because I couldn't remember doing anything spectacular, and he said, "No, you just controlled the game completely, and you almost had 100% pass rate, which is ultimately what you want from a centre midfield." But it was a great learning opportunity, just simply because, again, it's where you place that emphasis. So from his side, he's watching my contribution to the team, and from my own internal perspective, I'm trying to measure my performance by what I could remember eliminating, and doing something that feels good rather than something that the team needs.
The CPL has become a fabric of hockey here in the Western Cape. It is a part and parcel of Western Province hockey. Its introduction in 2020, at a time when COVID was stopping kids from playing sport, was a breath of fresh air, and it's a breath that has just gained in momentum in the subsequent editions. Now at the 4th edition, we have 6 franchises, different age groups, over 1,000 kids, as over the space of 2 weeks shared Western Province Cricket Club and its surrounding facilities, they get together and they take on the CPL Challenge. It's exhibition hockey, it's flair hockey, it's exciting hockey, but most of all, it's great hockey fun that brings the community together and offers us a window into the future of South African hockey.